If you haven't noticed, yes, I do have a half a cup. Mine was handmade too, and it was given to me. I always thought it was fun, until the other day I went to my cupboard to see what cup I wanted to bring down to the Million Cup. And I realized that about 2.5 months ago, this was what I was drinking out of. Because our business, Notamals, which is a music-based business beginning method for very young children, and it is sold on the internet. But the internet, waiting to get your product out there has changed so much that we have really been struggling. I really had half a cup. And even though I've got 2 wonderful partners, we weren't making much groundway. And then John Chamberlain, who has been, he's one of my piano dads and he's now one of my piano granddads. That's how long I've been teaching music. Said, Glenna, I think you ought to go to 1,000,000 Cups. Well, there's many times he's asked me to do things and it just didn't feel right. But this one did. I came, they encouraged me to present, and I encourage any of you who are coming up with a good idea, get a good PowerPoint and get up here and present. Because the help that you're going to get from suggestions from each other, from suggestions from those who know what they're doing, is tremendous. I now have a new cup.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Glenna. So moving on, one last thing before I introduce our first speaker. For those of you who have not been to 1,000,000 Cups before, it's an educational platform, and we're here to change the culture of our entrepreneurial ecosystem. By doing so, or by drinking and sharing coffee with each other, we're sharing our stories, we're learning from each other. So tune in to our speakers, really engage with their stories, learn from what their experiences are, ask questions if you have them, don't be afraid. This is a forum for us to build relationships with each other. When you do have a question, make sure you say your name and who you're with. That way we can kind of build a relationship and know who we're talking to as we go. So moving forward, we would like to introduce our first speaker, Lynn Fowlkes of My Uncle's Gourmet Barbecue Sauce. And Lynn, we're going to set you up over here. And follow me.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How is everybody? Well, I said I'm Lynn Fowlkes, the operator, creator of the My Uncle's Gourmet Barbecue Sauce. And as an entrepreneur, first of all, I'd like to thank the 1,000,000 Cup group and all of you for being here. Thanking the Little Rock Chamber for giving us this opportunity to kind of rub it together with each other and be encouraged, because I'm strengthened every time I come to these meetings. It's really not about my specific entrepreneurship that I'm doing, but when you're amongst what I have to consider in my life, amongst the eagles, those that are soaring, those that are trying, those that are taking the risks and the challenges. And sometimes we fall and sometimes we get up. But it's encouraging to be a part of this group and to be associated with each and every one of you. So I thank you for the encouragement you've given me. Coming here, moved all the way from Michigan, believing in a dream. I come here and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me in the last 3 or 4 years. I have never lived better than when I came here with nothing, and now we have this and all the other great people that I've come in contact with. And I thank each and every one of you as I talk about you as a group, every opportunity I get to invite people to come. But again, with this sauce and my entrepreneurship, moving here from Michigan, with this vision, with this dream, we conceived that when we came, I'd already had started the program in Michigan. I'd done it back in '08. We started creating our sauces, working with it. I tell everyone that I burned more than I made in learning to get the recipe, because sugar and tomato sauce don't like each other. As a cook, you'll have to learn that. Temperature is very important. So I did a lot of experimenting. It took me 2 years to get the recipes that I have down pat where I can do them in my sleep. I'm impressed with them myself because people continue to call and tell me about all the different things that they're using it on. Everything from grilled pineapple to substituting ketchup for catfish and all of the things that I'm using, egg omelets, a lot of the things that this sauce is being used for. I actually considered removing the label of barbecue from it because everyone their first response was to, well, I got to get a rib or something. No, that's not what I'm hearing. All you need is something cooked, whatever it may be. So we're encouraged by what's going on here. Over on the table, we already have some samples I'd like for you to try. Both my recipes are there. To the right there, we have the hot or spicy meatball. The meatball next to it is the original sauce. The other is the smoked sausage, original sauce, and then in the little black kettle there is a spicy smoked sausage. So feel free to try those. I'm not taking any of those guys home there. I'm not taking any prisoners, so please help yourself. As I look at entrepreneurship, again, and being here and being a part of each and every one of you as the risk takers that we are in doing, trying to achieve our different dreams, it's encouraging. Again, I just can't say enough about it. So as we come forth, our products right now are right here downtown. We made into a store here across from the marketplace, the Four Squares. We're also in the Drug Emporium, Terry's Gourmet on Kavanaugh, and we have a couple spots in Hot Springs. We're also in the process of building our food truck out there and the restaurant in the makings called My Uncle's Place. You guessed it. So with that, and when you tell people you're going to your uncle's place, they're going to ask you what's his name. So you're going to have to do a little explaining every time you make that statement until they figure out that, no, that is I went to the bank and I told her I'd like to put this in my uncle's account, the check. And she kept asking me for the third time, what's his name? I said, no, finally I play around a little bit. Finally I said, no, that's the name of the account, my uncle. So I'll tell you, we'll get a little conversation about that. But in looking forward in the business of entrepreneurship, Arkansas has the Made in Arkansas promotion that is very helpful in leading us and encouraging us to make it in Arkansas. I consider myself and our cousins now that I'm here. I'm sold out on being here and being a part of what's going on down here. So with that in mind, we manufacture our sauce in Benton. And it took us a little effort coming to the South that we didn't have a small enough vendor that could actually handle the little guy. We had the large vendors that would co-pack and make large quantities, but there was no place for my particular product with such a large request. So we were able to find a smaller co-packer that allowed us to come in and grow and increase as we grew. So that was quite demanding, and that was quite a challenge. In the whole state of Arkansas, there was not a sauce. There was not a sauce. There were salsas and other but there was not a sauce co-packer, and that was kind of scary. The next one was Alabama or some other state, but thank God that we found a small enough guy that we could be encouraged to do that. So with that being said, if you have any questions, I'm open.
All right, I don't have a mic this week that I can hand off to each person, so please speak loudly. But who has the first question? Sydney?
I'm Sydney Bradley from the whole thing, and I was just wondering, why did you pick barbecue sauce?
Well, being part of a family of cooks and things, I think the most time you get the most people together is typically around the picnics and things. And so in being a cook and coming from a family of great cooks, I was always in the midst of that, and the sauce and the creating of the sauce actually came from, like everyone else, I was doctoring up Open Pit and some of the other brands, and the consideration came when people were wanting to take it home, and they said, why don't you sell it? Well, I found out that you had to start from scratch when you had that consideration. So, but the barbecue sauce came from just my style of cooking, a lot of outdoor stuff.
Next question? Yes.
Hi, Terry Bessier. I have tried, with Know Your Finances, oh my gosh. That wouldn't be my phone, I'm sorry. Got busy talking when I got here, forgot to turn it off. I've tried his barbecue sauce. I've used it on salad instead of using a salad dressing. I've used it as barbecue sauce. Definitely stocking it today because it is phenomenal. We used it to dip. We used it on the chicken and then we dipped it in the sauce. That's how good it is. And I was really surprised because my husband thinks you need to try everything out there, and he does. And you really have something going there. I really mean that. Okay, so my question to you is, I'm getting very fearful in what I'm doing because it seems like I take a step forward and I take 2 steps back. You know, and that's the way it seems to me, and that puts a lot of doubt. You start going, well, wait a minute, you know, is this really what I'm supposed to do? You've got money into marketing. Okay, you had to put some money into the sauces, the bottles, everything. How did you just get to that point and were able to do that? I mean, what kind of loans, what kind of upfront money did you have to develop in order to get somewhere?
Well, it was called unemployment checks. And good friends that didn't charge me rent. So they were basically piece by piece. When you got the money, you would do the labor. You just had to graduate and be patient with yourself. If you don't have the money, there's no reason to be down on yourself. It's just simply you have to be patient with yourself. And that's what getting loans and attempting to get loans. But as you can still progress just little by little. You don't get 10,000 labels, you get 1,000. You don't get 5,000 bottles, you get 500. And you work with that and you put the money back in. It's just a recycling for the little guy until you get some money or some backing. Just be patient with yourself. Have the passion. You must have the passion that's going to give you the courage to continue. You've got to have it.
Did you do free sampling, or did you go to things that you really get, start on it, or how did you really get that out?
Well, the sampling came just giving it away kind of thing, but I use a much smaller type of container for that. But definitely the sampling, and that's where the sales are at. I mean, you want to prove it. It's not, they have to test drive the car, you have to test drive my sauce. So, yes, sampling is very important to even get them to discussing. They need to taste it. The proof is in the sauce. One of my customers said it, when she tasted it, said it makes her mouth happy. And so that's why you see it on the label.
The proof is.
The proof is, yes.
So you mentioned how, you were pretty much bootstrapping from the ground up.
Absolutely, day one.
Supporting on or relying on other people to help you, and now you're here and you're showing your awesome products. What was something that got you through that? I mean, that had to be terrifying in some capacity. So what were things that helped you hone in on your goals and your mission and stick to your passion? Were there anything in particular?
Well, as low as I may have been at any given time, it always makes a difference when you're around positive people. That's critical. You really don't have time for complainers and people that don't, that aren't trying. You don't have time for that. I don't want to hear that. I need to find a source, and sometimes it's just by yourself, but there's a lot of positive people out here. And that's who you need to find. Regardless of what your product's doing, regardless of how much success, you still need to remain in that realm because there's the ups and downs of the business. And you need to not panic and run out and find those people. You already need to have that association where you're getting that vitamin all the time. You're always building up so that you're always getting stronger and better. You're always getting wiser in that. And so that when you have the situations, positive and negative, you can take it.
Next questions? Anyone? Yes.
Coleman Castle, Hot Springs Chamber. I live in Hot Springs. I'd like to know where you're sold there.
It's the, I was waiting on my marketing person to get that name. It's the Gourmet shop. She makes other products. I'll have it before we leave. It's just got that one in Hot Springs.
Awesome.
I wonder if you notice in my hand, this is something I use to encourage. I taught school and I was working on young people. Mind your own business is what it says. It's not a smart remark, but it's actually, you're seeing yourself. Says here, mind your own business and become an entrepreneur. See yourself in the future. Mind, you know, if you read the books, Leon Coke or Oprah Winfrey, or so, any of those, they talk about the vision of seeing themselves doing this. You really got to become a player in your own dream. You got to really keep it alive in you. Mind your own business. Don't let nothing distract you from that. You carry that with you all the time. You keep your notepad by your bed. You'll be surprised at what thoughts come to you that you may think insignificant, and then you go back and try and get them, and you can't remember them. You need to grab hold of those thoughts. They're going to come back to you, I can assure you, and you're going to wish you had it. You're going to try and put that phrase together or put that thought or that person, and it's gone. So be mindful. Be mindful of your own thoughts and protect them and record them. They're going to come back to help you one way or another. Trust me on that one.
Cindy, you have a question?
I'm sorry.
I was just wondering what's your plan for the future now? What is your dream? Like, do you want a store? Do you want, what do you want?
Well, the dream, first of all, is the entrepreneurial spirit that I think is lost in a lot of our families, in my families, that I have young kids, teenagers, and I want to encourage them in entrepreneurship. I think one of the great experiences of living in a state like Michigan and having a great employer like General Motors all of a sudden just disappear in 50, 70 years, everybody's forgotten the trades and the other things that they used to do before they had all of those great jobs. And then they were desperate people. I want them to be independent. Although they may work with someone else, my vision is to just begin with the family of an inheritance, of encouraging entrepreneurship, whatever it may be, to have a business. Though you may work with someone else, you just won't get caught in life standing on one leg like a whole entire state and all the surrounding areas did. It's a desperate situation when you lose hundreds of thousands of jobs and people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars now. They don't know what to do. So that's important.
So with that, what specifically, or where do you see My Uncle's barbecue sauce or My Uncle's Gourmet barbecue sauce going? What's your end goal, or what's your most relevant goal right now? Do you want to expand the distribution, or maybe open a store, or?
Well, certainly expanded distribution pays back into the company, so we're always going to continue to get those out there because that's where the bills are going to be paid. But as an educator and former vocational educator, I'm hoping to recruit out of the vocational field young kids interested in culinary. There's positions in this business called mixologists that need to, when I start making other people's recipes, one of my visions is the little guy like me, you got grandma's recipe, we're going to come up with a little $500 package, not a $5,000 one. Show you what your product looks like in a label form and encourage you to take the first step. So we're looking to bring forth a company that will help help the little guy and encourage them to come and bring their dream to life. And we're going to help them. We're going to be part of that dream maker for those that have those ideas in the sauce business anyway. But we are looking for the food truck and the store, the restaurant. It's called My Uncle's Place again.
Yep. So I don't know that many people who have been through the recipe design and also manufacturing bottling process. How did you get through that? Did you have a existing knowledge base for that, or did you look for help with someone, or did you kind of just figure it out along the way?
Well, thank God for the computer. I mean, there's a lot of great information. A lot of great information, and you can look into bottling and the whole process from one end to the other, and you begin to fit your style and what you're trying to do into the knowledge of what the industry is doing. All the industry is a bigger cosmic of you. They're doing larger and bigger, but they still need the same basic fundamentals. So in studying that and just doing your research and looking around and seeing what works. I didn't start this trying to recreate the wheel. You know, that was a waste of good money and a lot of effort. There was already things being positively done in my industry. I just needed to recreate it on a scale where I could be successful. And that's basically what that did. Just, again, a bottle at a time. I was buying them, going to directly and buying a case at a time. Just doing it. You got to just grow. That's the important thing, growth.
All right. Any last questions? Yes, Glenna.
I noticed that you have a website. Does that website list the locations of your store and the locations of where your sauce can be bought?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Again, you believe it or not, all of this is just taking place in less than a year. Everything you see there is less than a year. Everything was on the table, drawn up, written up, and all scratches of paper, pieces of paper, and that's what became. I was able to, when unemployment ran out 2 weeks before I knew it, it was a bad time last year this time, and it just timed enough. I turned 62, and in my spirit, God told me to go and retire early. And so I got this going last August. So this is what you're seeing here. This is what's happened. Everything else was, as I said, check by check, but actually retiring allowed me to do that. But to answer your question about the website, just getting here in Arkansas, we haven't put these stores on yet, but they will be coming soon. Also, the food truck out there.
So we know, so we can pass out the word.
Yes,
Go to the
ma'am.
website and it'll tell you where to go get the stuff.
Yeah, we'll get right on that. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that, Glenna. So does anybody have any more last questions? All right. So, like we do with every single 1 Million Cups presenter, Mr. Fowlkes, what is the one thing we can leave with today to help you out?
After you've tasted my product, I want you to be committed through what you know, not guessing, try my sauce. If you believe it deserves your compliments, I certainly appreciate it. Tell somebody else after you've tasted it. I know, but I want you to know. Okay, so just try it and tell somebody else. That's word of mouth.
I don't think it gets any better than that. So call to action, go try the sauce today because we know you're going to get hooked on it, and then go tell other people about it. So thank you for that.
Thank you.